In our meetings, we often talk about the amazing magic of animation. So let's today take a look how we can use this magic energy in practice. Each of us has some high and noble goal in life. Let's not waste time on trifles. Suppose you want to save our common home, a little green planet, which we call Earth. Environmental pollution and global warming pose a real threat to the very existence of human civilization. We need to somehow fight these problems. And for the start, we need to make people think and realize the whole globality of the impending catastrophe. It is very well if you, like Greta Thunberg, live in capital of a prosperous European state. You can skip your school classes and go out with a poster to the parliament building for an eco strike.
How dare you! You have stolen my dreams and my childhood.
A crowd of idle onlookers will immediately gather. They will start to post your photos on Instagram. You'll have followers all over the world, and in a couple of months you are already a seasoned eco-fighter and activist, and broadcast your ideas to the whole world from the United Nations podium. But what if you are a simple rural guy from an unknown state? You live in a remote town at the end of the world, and your parliament looks something like this. In this case, it will be somewhat more difficult for you to convey your ideas to the world community. And this is where the magic of animation comes to your rescue. Just a few clicks of the mouse and you will be transported to anywhere in the world, where you can organize any kind of environmental campaigns you want. Let us, for example, go to the very heart of Russia, on the Red Square in center of Moscow, right to the walls of the Kremlin. Is there any better place to be heard?
How dare you!
See how many historical sites there are. Let's take for a start the main symbol of the Kremlin, the Spasskaya Tower, and arrange an environmental strike right at its main gate. Just a wonderful view at Spasskaya Tower opens from balustrade of St. Basil's Cathedral. But who will take part in our environmental strike? And here the magic of animation allows us not to limit our imagination in anything. But let's start with those characters that are closer and dearer to us. We recently met an absolutely delightful person, and today he came to Red Square to support us in our struggle for the future of humanity. Meet friends, Mr. Hamster. Thank you, dear Mr. Hamster, for coming on this wonderful spring day to support our ecological endeavor. Please tell us about yourself and your environmental views.
Actually, I already talked about this in the first episode of your show. Maybe we'd better just watch this video?
Great idea! So friends, let's watch the pilot of our show in which Mr. Hamster talks about his environmental activities.
My dear friends, we are happy to welcome you on our show, Entertaining Science. Today our meeting is devoted to zoology, and our speaker will be the famous herpetologist Mr. Hamster.
Let me remind you that herpetology is the branch of zoology concerned with the study of amphibians and reptiles.
And as a guest star, we invited the most famous enlightener of all times, Euclid of Alexandria, on whose textbooks whole generations of scientists had grown. And now Mr. Hamster will tell us his story. So, Mr. Hamster, is it true that you fled to the Magic Forest from communist North Korea?
Yes, as a young scientist, I was engaged in biological research for the communist regime of North Korea. Have you heard about famous boiled frog experiment? If you take an ordinary frog and put it in a vessel of hot water, then naturally it will not like it and will try to get out as soon as possible. If you place the frog in a vessel of cool water, it will feel quite comfortable and will not try to escape. But if now we start heating the water in a vessel and we do it very slowly, when the frog cannot feel such slow changes and will continue to enjoy life. Gradually the temperature of the water reaches dangerous values. But our frog does not notice this, because it has already got used to gradual changes. Suspect that something is wrong, the frog begins to late. By this time, it has already weakened from overheating, cannot get out of the jar, and eventually dies a terrible death. Yes, dies a terrible death.
My God, what awful experiments! But for what purpose North Korean regime does such research?
In fact, human behavior is much like the behavior of this frog. If you make changes slowly enough, you can accustom a person to any, even the most horrible things. Therefore, communist leaders, using ruthless experiments on frogs, try to work out methods of influencing human consciousness.
It is so horrible. I will allow myself to draw your attention to the deeper meaning of this experiment. In the upcoming conditions of global warming and the general deterioration of the ecological situation, all of humanity has turned into this very boiled frog. The planet is warming up more and more, and we continue to mindlessly spend invaluable resources on all kinds of completely secondary tasks, as if nothing terrible is happening. Can it not be that once we find ourselves on planet unfit for life, and we don't have time or energy left to correct the situation? Oh yes, I think this is a very appropriate observation. We have to stop doing all sorts of nonsense and throw all the forces to save our home planet. I want to thank our guest for such interesting discussion and say goodbye to all our viewers. Until the next meeting on our show. Bye bye.
Thank you, dear Mr. Hamster.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood.
Thank you, Greta Thunberg. I am sure that you, our dear viewers, can also tell us something interesting about your activities in the protection of the environment. Watch our video tutorials, study animation with us, send us your cartoons, and we will save the world together. You will find all the necessary links in the description for this video on YouTube. Hope to see you on our next show. Bye bye!